Welcome back to Rob's Car World, everyone. Today we're going to have a little fun. I'm going to compare two Triumph TR8's that I found versus a Triumph TR7 with a Buick 3.8-liter V6 transplant. Let's check these three very interesting cars out. I found these cars over the time on Craigslist as well as Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes the more expensive cars I tend to sit on a little bit to see if the sellers change their mind. And this is one of them. This is a 1980 Triumph TR8. The TR8, so you know, was built from 1978 to 1981. Mostly sold in the United States. The dealers wanted to have a more high-performing car for the market. And Triumph said, hey, wait, you know, in the ROVER bin, we have this 1960s Buick Oldsmobile aluminum V8, which was a 215 cubic inch engine. They acquired it from General Motors back in the mid-1960s, and they wedged in the V8 into the wedge, and they created this V8, pretty high-performing car for its time. Has a live axle in the rear. You know, it wasn't a big seller, but it was exclusively more or less sold here in North America, both Canada and the United States. So this car is one such example of a correct pedigree. It's listed in Auburn, New York State about a year ago because this car has not changed in price. So it is on the expensive side, doesn't stop us from putting an offer in. So that's one car we'll compare. The second one is a car out in Long Island that was listed just 28 days ago. This car is also a true TR8 with the aluminum block engine. And this car, what's really nice about it, what really struck me is this beautiful detail on the engine. And what they did was the original V8 engine from ROVER had two Stromberg carburetors, about 133 horsepower. And the Stromberg carburetors are, I'll show it to you in this photo. The Stromberg carburetors are really cool. Once you dial them in, they perform very well. But this particular car had a lot of engine work, and they put a traditional intake manifold with a 4-barrel carburetor on top. So for the people here in the United States, when you open up the hood and you see that, you're much more less intimidated than when you see two Stromberg carburetors side by side. So I kind of like this one. This is a nice car. It's on Long Island, and he's asking $14,500, which is not a bad deal. The third car is a car here in my hometown. I've not seen it on the streets. This person has listed this car for over a year now, and he had this car priced way over $10,000, like $14,000 at first. It is now only $8,900. It's not a bad deal, but it's not a real TR8. It's basically a convertible TR7, and it has a transplanted Buick 3.8-liter V6. I'm not sure if it's a Series 3 or Series 2 Buick 3.8, but either way, the 3.8-liter V6 engine is a formidable engine. I like that engine quite a bit, and I would think it probably outperforms the V8 siblings here that are real TR8. So we'll get back to that car. So let's go to the first one that I found up in Auburn. A nice original looking car, maybe too original because, you know, he hasn't done anything when it comes to restoring the car. It looks like it has the original 32,000 miles that he's suggesting in the ad. So the paint and the undercarriage and the engine bay looks to be all original. The interior is flawless. It has this really interesting pattern in the seats. If you remember back in the late 70s and the early 80s, even Porsche 924 and the 928, they all went with this plaid color or stripes or interior patterns on their seats. So you don't see that today, but it was striking for its time, and I like it a lot. And this interior really wins me over. But overall, the car is original looking, and the fault that I find with this car is just the undercarriage seems to be a little bit on the rusted side. Surface rust, not really through rust or anything like that, but it looks like this car has been sitting for quite some time, and I would be very concerned because, you know, it has the original exhaust and things like that. So the first thing that you start thinking of is, you know, what is the gas tank situation and things like that. But not a bad car at all. It's an original car. He's just priced this way over what it's worth at $16,900. The second car here in Long Island seems to be a really nice deal if you're looking for a TR8 that's a factory TR8. Now, if you're going to buy a TR8, any type of TR8 or 7, you want to buy from 1980 and up, because the manufacturing process improved dramatically when they moved this car from one assembly plant to another, because they had some problems with labor unions back in England in those days. But the 1980s and above TR7s and TR8s are more desirable cars from my perspective anyway. And this car is a nice car for $14,500 as an asking price. And it looks to be that this car was fully nicely restored. It has beautiful, the engine looks very polished. It looks like it was out of the car. It has the beautiful headers in it. Even the distribution valves for the braking looks to be newer, and the interior looks, the engine bay looks to be the original silver color. So this car is very striking, and I like it a lot. The problem I have is that this is an older photo, and I'm hoping this car has been, in a garage all this time. But this would definitely be a car I would seek out if I was looking for a TR8 as a real pedigree car, So he's asking $14,500. If he took $12,000, it really might be worth considering, because these cars should continue to go up in value slightly. But, the TR7s, as you know, really aren't doing much. TR7s you can find for $5,000 that you can drive home. So TR8s with that premium for the engine is what you're paying here for. Plus, it's a convertible. They made some TR8s in a coupe form, but they're so limited in numbers. I've never seen one. Maybe on the collector side I've seen one, but if you're going to get the TR8, you want the convertible anyway. So, and then the final car, which is really interesting from a price value point of view, $8,900 here in Warwick, New York. I haven't looked at this car. I don't know the seller. It's he's got a good rating and all that. He joined Facebook in 2009. So here you have a situation where the person put a lot of money in this car by putting this Buick engine in this car with the aluminum, radiator and the more modern layout with all these gaugers and all that. He's got leather interior. He put way more than $8,900 into this car. So he's not making any money on this car on this sale. And this is one of those, cars where, you get to pick up on his, not frustration, but he wants out of the car now. And he realized that, hey, what I did was just took a TR7 and put a V6 in it. Not many people want one. But if you're in the market for a very dynamic looking car with a very good, reliable engine, this is definitely the car for you. Better than the TR8 for $14,000. Only know that when you buy this car, the chances of you selling this car for a premium 5, 6, 7 years down the road will be less attractive than buying this car on Long Island for $12,000 as an original TR8, if that makes any sense at all. But so out of all three cars, I like this one here the best on Long Island. However, there's no interior photos, no undercarriage photos. We really don't know much what we have, other than he went for a lot of time and detail to get this engine bay looking so beautiful. So if this engine bay looks as beautiful as this car looks, I'm thinking the rest of the car is just as nice. So that's my subject there. This one is a really nice car, but he's priced it way over the top. And while he showed those photos of the undercarriage, for that much money, you'd want to buy this car for a lot less, so you can take the time to restore it and bring it up to the right level of detail, so you can sell this car later as a mild collector type car. So yeah, TR7s and TR8s are a certain type of buyer. I love the wedge. I grew up with the car. Always looking for a TR7 coupe. That's my favorite. I like the coupeness, the coziness of that coupe. I like the complete wedge. The convertible is nice, but the TR8, if I can find one like this one out in Long Island, is a car that I would consider. So thank you for joining me today. If you're not a subscriber to Rob's Car World, please subscribe. If you like these videos, please give a thumbs up for the algorithm. That helps us. Please always share these videos with friends that love cars. We appreciate it. And we'll see you back here. Thanks. Have a great day.